And we have just now started a painstaking process of interviewing many experts from the United Kingdom, but also from around the world, who will be coming to the House of Commons to give us their perspective. We had the first evidence session last week. The next one is tomorrow. We will be visiting Turkey in January and seeing for ourselves some of the places that obviously were part of that coup attempt. And in a nutshell, how can I explain it? We want to get to the truth of this, because I think, my perspective is, I think our Turkish friends are somewhat disappointed, to say the least, about the mute response from certain Western capitals as to what happened to their country. And I think we want to try to reassure them that we are taking those concerns seriously.
I wanted to ask you about that next.
And it'd be very difficult to, for certain people to explain that difference in the valuation of the loss of human life. And we have just yesterday, quite rightly, commemorated the anniversary in Paris. We have just yesterday, quite rightly, commemorated the anniversary in Paris of the appalling terrorist atrocity which led to, I think it's 89 or 90 people being killed in that nightclub in Paris. The BBC are full of stories about that tragedy. And yet I have heard very little coverage amongst our own broadcasters about the loss of life. And you know, I think that it's a difficult question to answer, but I think that there are people in our society who don't want to give the President and Prime Minister of Turkey the benefit of the doubt. They have their own agenda. They think that Turkey doesn't perhaps meet some of our standards when you are on the front line. And I would like them to pause and think for a moment, what would be our response here in the United Kingdom if 241 of our citizens had been slaughtered by forces who are attempting to destabilize our parliament and to overturn the democratic will of the British people? I think they have to pause. We're very lucky in this country. May I just say, very briefly at this point, I watched those early hours of the coup on television, and what was really heartening is how the Turkish President and Prime Minister rallied the Turkish people, and they came out in unprecedented numbers. It was the Turkish people who stopped the coup. They understood the ramifications of what would happen to their country if this coup had been successful, and that their decision at the ballot box had been overturned. And may I just say to your viewers on Turkish television, we admire those people, because, you know, people, whether it's the Romanian Communist Revolution or whether it's in Europe. What I'm trying to say is that the countries in Europe that have been the most vociferous in condemning and castigating Turkey have not themselves experienced what Turkey has just been through. It's extremely, you can only realize your own reaction if you've been through something as seismic as this. And I would challenge any politician in a European capital that they would not do everything possible to defend the democracy. That's the number one thing. And if we have tanks on the street, many people would defend their democracy to the last drop of blood, quite frankly, and even politicians. But let me just say, for the record, this movement, from what we've found out, is operating in a lot of jurisdictions, and not just in Turkey, generally across the whole of the world. Because if this is going to happen to Turkey today, it could happen to other European countries. I spoke to the Prime Minister of Macedonia the other day. Every sane person in the West. We must never take for granted Turkey's stability and Turkish loyalty to the NATO cause. I said to you earlier that the only thing that is between ISIS and Europe is Turkey. To lose Turkey as a strategic partner would be catastrophic for Europe. It's interesting, isn't it, how despite the tensions in their own domestic jurisdiction, I think the stop-start approach to Turkish membership by the European Union is shaming. I think the Turks have had are saints in the patience that they have shown the European Union. And I think that some of the bureaucrats, Germany, France and Italy. Now, what has kept the peace in Europe and our neighbourhood is NATO. And Turkey is a very important NATO partner. We cannot have peace and security in Europe without Turkey. Today or tomorrow, you have to extrapolate 5, 10, 15, 20 years hence. Now, if you talk to some of these bureaucrats in Brussels, they want a single European army, but they don't want Turkey in the European Union. Well, what happens if the European army supersedes NATO as the main body for common security and defence? That would be catastrophic. That would push Turkey further away, and it will cause real instability in that region. So there's a lot at stake here, a lot at stake, really badly. And the consequences of Turkey not dealing with that would have led to huge problems for the whole of Europe. So let's not forget that for a moment. We had wall-to-wall coverage last, and the huge pressures that have resulted as a result of that. What's stopping that? It's Turkey. We need to keep Turkey as a strategic partner.
In simple terms.
Start recording.
Okay. Great.
And then, Ali, if you could just jump in and do a sync clap just in between us.
Yeah. Alright, are you recording?
Yeah.
Recording. Okay, scene clap.
Lovely.
Okay.
So I'm going to do what I said we'd do, Simon, and start on that push-in shot, but then at the end I might just get you to do your first question again.
No problem.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, speed.
Daniel Klevchinsky, Conservative member of the British Parliament. Thanks for sitting down and talking to TRT World. You're a member of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, which is currently starting a detailed investigation into the failed coup in Turkey in July of 2016. For joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's cut.